When the internet began, bulletin board services, or BBS, became the first online communities of the so-called information superhighway. Using their phone lines, people logged in from all over America to talk about sports, games, movies, and on one BBS in particular, share their ghost stories. Over time, those communities all went dark, except for one lone server that continues to operate somewhere in an unknown part of Pennsylvania's Rust Belt. A relic of the 1990s, veiled in mystery, it is a digital archive of humanity's strangest encounters with the unknown, as told by the people who experienced them. My name is Brandon Schexnayder, and you are listening to Fear Daily.
Subject, 8 seconds. User, Red Dead Run. Posted, June 14th, 1995.
I sing country songs at rodeos and state fairs. The kind of places that smell like sweat, beer, and dust. Nobody knows my name. They just hear me between bronc rides or while they're waiting on fried dough. It's a living. 3 months ago in Stephenville, I watched a bull kill a man. I wasn't supposed to see it. I was behind the chutes, guitar in hand, waiting to go on. The gate slammed, the crowd roared, and then came the sound of something heavy hitting dirt, wet and final. The bull was called Red Sunday. I saw the paramedics run in, saw the rider's boot come off when they lifted him, and then the announcer said, "Let's keep the show moving," and called my name. So I sang. After that, I stopped sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that red dirt. The way it soaked. The dreams got worse. Sometimes I'd hear the bull breathing behind the walls. Sometimes I'd wake up and smell hay and blood. I started chugging coffee, popping pills, smoking through the night, anything to stay awake. The circuit doesn't stop just because you're losing your mind, though. I played Amarillo, Enid, Vernon, motels with yellow towels, broken locks, and carpet that smelled like mold. The days started to blur. I'd see hoof prints outside my door, even when it hadn't rained. Hay on the bedspread, in one motel sink, a knot of coarse black hair like a horse's tail. I told myself it was nerves, grief. The road does that. And Enid, I dreamed the chute hallway was full of fog. Something moved behind the boards, snorting, pacing. When the gate swung open, the bull was there, his horns dragging slow across the wall, leaving 2 white lines in the paint. I woke up because the foot of the bed shook like someone had kicked it. There was a boot print on the sheet. That's when I stopped even trying to sleep. I drove through the night, radio on static, just to hear something human. The last week of August brought me to Waco, a tiny rodeo tucked behind a state fair midway, the kind of place where the bleachers rattle if you breathe too hard. I'd been awake 42 hours, fueled by diner coffee and sugar. My hands shook so bad I could barely tune the guitar. Out by the pens, I saw the stock trailer. The letters on the side said Sunday Rough Stock in big red spray paint. I told myself it was coincidence. Lots of stock outfits use the same names. Still, when I heard the bull snorting in the chutes, I swore one of them sounded like it was laughing. I went on just before dark. The crowd was small. Families, kids with snow cones, a few drunk cowboys yelling requests. The first two songs went fine. Then, between verses, I looked toward the holding pen. Someone had written the lineup on the whiteboard. Gate 3, Red Sunday. Every drop of blood in my body seemed to drain out at once. The announcer cracked a joke I didn't hear. The gate slammed open. I didn't want to look, but I did. He came out just like before. Black hide shining under the lights, shoulders rolling like gears. Only this time, there was no rider, just the bull. He ran the fence line, throwing dust, head low, horns carving the air. The crowd cheered like it was part of the act. I froze mid-song. My pick slipped from my fingers. My mouth wouldn't close. The bull stopped dead, nostrils flaring, and turned toward the stage. Then he came. The ground shook. I heard the wooden steps behind me splinter as he hit them. People screamed. I tried to move, but my guitar strap caught me on the mic stand. Next thing I remember was the horn hitting me, soft at first, then all the way through. It lifted me like nothing. My breath vanished. I felt the horn slide under my ribs, scrape the inside of me. I didn't scream. There wasn't air to do it, just a dry gasp that sounded like feedback. The bull shook once and tossed me down. My shoulder hit the dirt. My guitar snapped in two, strings ringing faint like wind chimes. I tried to crawl, but my leg bent the wrong way. I could feel the blood pouring warm and fast. The bull stomped once, twice, each time a bright explosion behind my eyes. I remember looking up at the floodlights. They blurred, then doubled, then shrank until the whole world was just that glow and the dust floating through it. Someone ran toward me, yelling for help. The announcer's voice cracked over the speakers, saying something about keeping calm. Then everything went quiet, except for breathing. Not mine. Something else. Slow, heavy, close. I turned my head and saw the bull standing over me. His hide steamed in the night air. His eyes weren't black anymore. They were red, pulsing like coals. The crowd was gone. The arena was empty. Just me, him, and the dirt. He lowered his head until one horn pressed against my chest again. Not hard, just resting there like a warning. I could see the scar on his shoulder where the brand had been burned in. It wasn't letters anymore. It looked like a cross. And then he spoke, not in words exactly, in sound deep in my head. You kept singing. The horn drove in before I could breathe. The pain was like heat made solid. He twisted once, tearing through. I felt everything inside me come loose. When I opened my eyes again, the lights were out. The air smelled like pennies and burned hair. I tried to sit up and couldn't. My hands were slick. My dress was soaked through. I remember thinking, this can't be happening twice. The bull was gone. The arena empty again. My microphone lay on its side, still plugged in. I could hear it humming through the speakers, that low electric hum, and under it, breathing. I don't know how long I lay there. Long enough for the blood to cool on my skin. Long enough for the dust to settle. The floodlights never came back on. They found me in the morning, at least That's what I think happened. The EMT said I was lucky, that nothing vital was hit, but when they lifted me onto the stretcher, I saw hoof prints burned into the dirt around me, 10, maybe 12, all pointing inward. They said there hadn't been a bull out of the pen all night, that the gate to chute 3 was padlocked, that Red Sunday had been dead since May. I don't argue anymore. Let them call it shock. Let them say I dreamed it, but I know what I felt. I know what I heard. And every night since, I hear the gate slam again. The sound wakes me before the dream can finish. Sometimes I wake with dirt under my fingernails. Once, I woke holding a piece of guitar string, slick with something that wasn't rust. I've got another booking next week in Abilene, but I don't think I'm going. The radio keeps cutting out and leaving static that sounds like breathing. My throat aches like I've been singing for hours, even when I haven't. And there's hay on my motel floor again, though I haven't been near a barn in weeks. I know he's out there waiting because it's never about the 8 seconds you last on his back. It's about what happens when you fall. And I fell.
Subject, Tanner Road. User, JennyBear22. Posted, August 16th, 1999.
When my father bulldozed my grandmother's house, I didn't speak to him for nearly a year. It was a 2-story farmhouse that sat back off Old Tanner Road, near the edge of a soybean field. The kind of house you only see in fading family albums, peeling white paint, wide front porch, no neighbors for miles. It had been in our family since the 1920s. I spent summers there chasing fireflies and drinking sweet tea on the steps while my grandmother Viola played Patsy Cline on her old radio. And then she died, quietly in her sleep. My father didn't even wait a full week before hiring a demo crew, said it was falling apart, said it wasn't safe, said no one wanted it, but I did. Even if I didn't have the means to save it back then, it still felt like erasing her, erasing all of us. I hadn't thought about the house much in years, not really, until a few weeks ago when I started dreaming about it. Always the same dream. I'm back in the kitchen, the yellow linoleum cracked beneath my feet, and I hear my grandmother humming. But she's not in the kitchen. She's somewhere deeper in the house. Every time I try to find her, the floorboards start groaning, the lights flicker, and the wallpaper begins to peel like skin. I told myself it was grief, delayed mourning, the kind that sneaks up on you when you least expect it, but then I started seeing it while I was awake. The house, on drives home just past mile marker 43. There's nothing there anymore, just weeds and dirt, but I'd catch it in the corner of my eye, the porch swing moving. I asked my father, finally. Said I couldn't sleep, said I felt like I was being pulled backward. He didn't pretend to be confused. He just nodded and said she wouldn't leave. That's when he told me what happened after the funeral. He stayed behind to sort through her things. Said he was in the hallway upstairs when the house let out this long, low breath like it had lungs. He started hearing her voice in the vents, doors opening when no one was there, the smell of perfume, Shalimar burning in the air like ozone. "I think she died," he said, "but I don't think she went anywhere." He told me he tried to bless the place himself, like a fool. Even brought in Pastor Crane one afternoon, but the man turned pale the moment he crossed the threshold, said something about the floor not being right, the air being too thick. So he did what he thought had to be done. Tore it all down. I didn't believe him. Not really. And not until I went back. It was a warm Saturday afternoon, and I couldn't stay away anymore. I parked on the shoulder and walked the path where the gravel drive used to be. The field was taller now, gone to seed, but I found the spot. I always would. It's still stamped into me. The ground was soft where the house had once stood. A few pieces of foundation stones still stuck out the earth like rotten teeth. I stood there for a long time, long enough to hear it. The creak of the screen door. I turned, expecting someone behind me, but there was nothing there. Just wind. Then I caught a scent. Faint, floral, but sour. Like flowers left too long in stagnant water. My heart stuttered. The sound of footsteps followed, slow, measured. Crossing the invisible living room, I could picture it exactly. Her recliner, the coffee table with the doily, the chipped teacup she always used. I reached out without thinking, and my hand brushed something. Air, but heavy. Charged. Like the moment before a lightning strike. Then I heard her. "Darling?" I don't remember running, but I was back in my car, gravel spinning under the tires before I could breathe. I haven't gone back. I won't. But sometimes when I close my eyes, I still see that house rising from the dirt, and I finally understand why my father did what he did. He didn't destroy it. He tried to bury it. But it's still there, waiting, and I think the next time I hear her voice, I won't be able to leave.
Fear Daily is an independent podcast hosted by Brandon Schexnayder and written by Brennan Storr, with Joanna Smith serving as the consulting editor, audio production by Rachel Boyd, and sound design by Southern Gothic Media. This podcast is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are either products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or to real events or locations, is entirely coincidental. Ad-free versions of Fear Daily are available now on your favorite podcast apps. For more information, visit feardaily.com. But move fast, before the server goes offline.